Hey, what's up you guys? It's me, John, or Jhnzh, however you know me, but this is my first ever tutorial that I will ever be doing, and it'll also be pretty much my first ever video that, yeah, I don't know, it'll be my first ever tutorial, pretty much, that's it. This will be my first ever Cinema 4D tutorial, and basically in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make a nice kind of neon styled text, neon glow style text. So I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. So let's start. Now the key to making a high quality text, pretty much, or high quality text in anything, is an overhead softbox. If you don't know what it is, go look up Grayscale Gorilla Light Kit Pro on YouTube, and you could probably find out how to get it for free pretty easily, and you could also probably find out on how to install it pretty easily. So once you have that installed and everything, you've imported it, it should look something like this. The first thing you're going to want to do down in the overhead softbox settings is change the brightness over to 110. It may not look like it's that big of a difference, but it does actually change a lot of things. Now you're going to want to change the color of it, like the kind of glow it sets off, to a very light version of whatever color you're doing. In this case I'm doing light blue, so that looks about right. Now what you're going to want to do is just minimize that, like minimize its child, and then press Control C and then Control V. You will duplicate the soft boxes and just rename this one right soft box to keep it tidy. I would also suggest setting up the camera real quick, so just get yourself nice and lined up center so that you will have you won't have to mess with it later on, because it is quite a struggle messing with it if you're actually just trying to do it by freehand. In this case I'm using a mouse, so yeah, it is quite hard for me. But there you go. You should be about right there. And now just click, hold that, and go down and pick a camera. And then make sure you don't have that selected, like just click on the right softbox layer, and then you'll be able to zoom out and stuff without having the camera thing look all weird to you. So now what you're going to want to do, now that you have that zoomed out, is you're going to want to take the overhead softbox and you're going to want to make the width much longer. You're going to make it about 2,350, looks about good. And then as for the height, you shouldn't have to really concern yourself too much with the overhead one, at least. Now with the right softbox, you're going to want to go and select the rotation tool, and you're going to want to hold shift while clicking on this blue line and just drag it until it hits 90%. Now you're going to want to go back to the normal navigation tool and just drag it back to the point where it's right about to touch the softbox, but it's actually not touching the softbox. It's about there though. Now you're going to want to probably turn down the width of it a little bit, not too much. I'm going to say keep it at about 1200. And that should be good, and then just press Control CV again. I just dragged mine into the camera tab because of Photoshop, and just name it left softbox. Alright, now you're going to want to go back to the rotation tool, hold shift, and turn it 180 degrees. My god, I'm having some form of malfunction. Let's try using the mouse, or like the trackpad on my laptop. I'm thinking 45 was what I was doing, yeah. But you're going to want to make it do 180 and not fail like me so much. So now that you have the soft boxes like that, you can just go into your camera and actually zoom it back a little bit. And if you don't know how to go into your camera, you click that little box right there. It's past those two dots on its layer. The next thing I should cover is your render settings, and for general, you should all have this. If you don't, screw you. Or not screw you. I'm sorry, I'm in a harsh mood. But put the render engine to full render, put the output to 1280 by 720. Go to your save and change the format to PNG and put alpha channel on. And then multipass you should just be able to skip. Now anti-aliasing, this isn't going to be that big of a change. It might change a little bit of the quality seeing how we're using neon and everything, but change the anti-aliasing to best and put the max level to 8x8. Now go into options. There shouldn't be really anything. I don't know why I said that. Go into effect, ambient occlusion, and change the minimum ray length to 40 centimeters. That'll make it so there's a 40 centimeter shadow kind of light supply thing on the text, which will make it look smoother and cleaner and more 3D. So there's that. Now what you're going to want to do is actually put text in it. So go to MoGraph, MoText, and then just put your text whatever you want. I just failed again, but make it that. Make sure it is aligned to the middle, and pick whatever font you want. In this case, I'm going to use back in the USSR. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to use Happy Killer. Even though it doesn't really look that good unless you rotate the text a little bit, but I can work with it. Make the horizontal spacing a little smaller, possibly. There you go. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to change the depth of the text over to about 75. Trust me, don't make it any bigger, because by the time you're done, this is going to be the size of 175, and you don't want huge text when it comes to making backgrounds usually. Or unless you're actually trying to aim for that style, then go on ahead. So now you're going to want to press Control-CV while you're on that MoText layer. Change the depth down to 25. Yes, I go by quarters, if any of you actually notice that. Doubt you did, only I would. And then go into the quad view and move it back on the top view. Just move it back so the front of the 25 depth object touches the back of the 75 MoText object. Now you're going to want to just go back into this one for a second, press Control-CV again on your objects on the main, like the 75 one, and then move it so that the front of that one touches the back of the 25 one. Now, as you can see, you have a 175 depth text kind of style. Now, right now, if you render it, it is not going to look very special. It is going to be white with a kind of whatever hint of color you put the softbox to. So in this case, it's going to have kind of a blue look. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to actually go and get some materials. Now, very few of you know this, but I actually don't use custom-made materials or anything. I just use preset materials on a lot of my Cinema 4D text. So for those of you who don't know, just go into Load Material Preset on File, down the Materials Manager, go to Visualize Materials, Concrete, Concrete-01. You'll come up with this clay kind of box. You can just click on that, and then if you're going for a dark look, just change it down into a darker color, like that. That's pretty much all you have to mess with when it comes down to that. Now, for what you're going to do with that material is you're going to want to drag it onto the 275 objects you have. So only those two. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make another new material, and then you're going to want to go on to the material editor, go into color, and change the main color, into the darkest shade you want your color to be. Now go into luminance, and then change this down from brightness to 8, and then change that to the lighter version of whatever color you want your color to be. Shouldn't really have that much of a visual difference, but it really only affects the glow. Now go down to glow, and then it should start at 500. I would prefer going anywhere under 350. It depends to you. I'm going to go with about 290 from previous tests. And then just drag that onto the middle layer. So now that you have that done, if you render it out into the full, it should render out as a pretty dark, kind of lightish, whatever shade color text you wanted for the dark color side, I guess. I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to explain it. And you should have kind of a glow. Now there's not that much of a glow to me, so I'm kind of going to bump it up a little bit. I kind of don't like it on the, I think the H and the Z or something. I don't know, I don't remember, but I'm going to bump this up to about 300. You should be good to go from there. Just going to render this out completely, and then get ready to import it in Photoshop. Now, I did this tutorial previously, but I forgot my mic was muted, and the text actually came out alright, but we are going to have to do it again, because I forgot to unmute my mic. So, now that it's done rendering, just go up to File, Save As, OK. Just save it as whatever it spells out, and then you should remember it a little bit more. Alright, click it. You should open it up. It has a transparent because we set it to PNG with the alpha channel, so thank me for that one if you didn't know how to do that, even though it's pretty easy. But now it is to make it look a little bit of a higher quality. Now you're going to want to go into brightness and contrast. This is the easiest way to find it is by changing your tool thing over to essentials. I forgot what it's called. Workspace, I guess. Yeah. And then just up the contrast to about 50 is about good, and then change the brightness about 25. Like I said, I go by quarters on pretty much everything when it comes down to it. I don't care if that's 26, it's not a difference. Now go to color curves, where you're going to use the most overused color curve, but it's the best when it comes down to this. Just change up the red like that a little, so it makes a kind of S kind of look. It should have a kind of green look, I would assume. And then make the green one a smaller version of that red one, and you should have added more of a kind of color, I don't know, like a kind of more of a depth to it, I guess. And then the last thing you're going to want to do, this is a little bit of a more advanced technique, but it is quite useful, is use gradient mapping. Gradient mapping is quite useful when you want to add a kind of color or style to something. In this case, I'm making this a little bit more, I guess you could say lighter by adding all of this in. Usually I don't just leave this without something and just put this at about color dodge, and you have a pretty high quality text. If you add some outer glow to that or something and you smudge it pretty well, it can actually turn into a very nice background kind of text. You can work with this however you want. Just a quick tip: if you're using this on a slower, if you're using this technique on a slower computer, if you're using this for an intro, ambient occlusion will slow you down by about, I would say, 20%. So if you want to just waste a little bit less time for a little bit less quality, then I would suggest turning that off. But after that, you should have this nice looking text. I hope that this first ever tutorial was actually quite useful for you guys. If you guys actually give me some positive feedback and everything, I will do more on a lot of things I know that a lot of people asked me about. If you have any requests for me to do a certain kind of tutorial, just PM me wherever you're PMing me at, and I will get back to you. And if it's a good idea, I'll do it. Well, that's about it for this video, guys. I'll see you. Peace.